Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve.
I'm Lindsay.
Today, we're going to be reacting to an article that was shared with us by a subscriber. And I thought this sounded really interesting because this is something I've been wanting to look up for quite some time now. And that is basically learning about the cheapest and most expensive areas outside of London to buy a home.
Okay.
Because obviously, I think you probably know that London is
probably one of the more pricey
very
cities.
expensive. I mean, not just in the UK. I think London is probably one of the priciest
Worldwide,
cities
yeah.
worldwide. It's up there with, the New York City area, probably San Francisco in the US. And I'm sure, there's probably a top 10, and I'm thinking London probably is on that. Don't hold me to that, but I'm guessing. I've heard that London is very expensive. So I thought this would be interesting. So homeowners are leaving London in their droves, and these are the cheapest postcodes to live in outside the capital and the priciest ones to avoid. So in other words, like we were saying, it's really not so much about London. It's just London is so expensive.
If you're going to leave, this is where
you're going to go, probably.
Or where you want to avoid.
But the average price of a London home is soaring near the £1 million mark.
That's average?
That's insane. Average. That's I don't know what it is in New York City, for example, but I know it's very expensive. You go there and I hear people like getting a small little apartment the size of a walk-in closet for like, $7,000 a month or something.
Oh no, are you serious?
Like it's over the top. I don't have numbers on my head. I just remember like it was insane.
It's exorbitant.
It's insane. And so I don't think it's just London that is seeing people leave for financial reasons.
Right.
But
a lot of cities are probably experiencing that.
I think the trade-off is that if you're in a city like London, you're more likely making a lot more than you are in other areas of the country. I'm guessing. Not in every single type of employment.
Right.
But I'm guessing overall you probably are. So the average house in the capital costs £733,000, but the average London salary is only £44,000.
What?
And most mortgages are capped at 4.5 times that, amounting to just $198,000.
What? How does this even make sense? How is this even possible?
Wait, like, what does that mean by the mortgages are capped at?
Like you can't get a loan higher than times your...
Yeah, right. That's what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. Wow. So in other words, dun, 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 just like in New York City, I keep on using that city because it's one I have some knowledge about a little bit anyway. So basically, unless you're making a very, very high salary compared to the average, you are almost certain to have roommates.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how can you afford those prices off the average? That's insane. Okay. Schemes like the Help to Buy ISA may have worked a decade ago, but since savers can only receive a government bonus if they buy under £450,000, resources such as this have also been priced out. Instead of buying in London, homeowners are flocking to more affordable towns that are often in the north of Britain.
Amen.
I had that in my head, right?
Well, it's the more rural part.
Right. Like I've had that in my head that if the south of England is much more expensive than the north of England.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I have. Do you have that thought in your head too?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's some affordable areas in the south as well.
Right. But overall, and I'm really curious what some of the larger cities like Manchester and Liverpool, for example, how they compare to London when it comes to housing prices.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people are doing this here. Like a lot of people were leaving cities like New York City and they were moving down to Florida. And now Florida prices have gone through the roof because so many people moved there. And it's happened in a lot of different areas. People have left these, it happened in my hometown.
Yeah.
We had people, I think most people come from California area.
Or up north.
Or up north, where they were making really good money. They already had a house. They sold it and they were able to go and pay cash for what to them was much cheaper housing. But for the locals basically got priced out.
Yeah.
And now so many people, including myself, people I went to school with, no one can live there anymore that actually was, born and raised there because
being displaced.
We've been displaced. And it's one of those things that like I would never want to stop people from moving where they want to go, but it's one of those things that really I can't help be a little angered by it because it's like I grew up in such a beautiful town, but I lost the ability to live in the hometown that I want to live in.
It was sad.
And Lindsay loved it.
Yeah, it felt like home, and it was. We moved away, and was it like
2020,
super early 2020?
Yeah, like February.
Right before all the COVID stuff happened. And it's just, it's bittersweet.
Now we can unveil the cheapest postcodes to live in outside the capital and the price of ones to avoid, according to data compiled from the land registry by the online marketing surgery and Cardinal Steels. Cheapest postcodes outside London.
Okay, so number one is the cheapest.
Wait, what?
North Yorkshire?
Hold on, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at the price of a house?
No, is that the average price? No.
Hold on. Cheapest postcodes living
What does
outside.
that mean? What does that mean?
That can't be a house, man. That is insanely cheap if that was the average cost of a house. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. Most expensive postcode. What does that mean?
Yeah, they need to elaborate.
It's got to be. This is the most expensive.
The average cost of a home?
That's got to be what that means. Look at this. Hold on. Let's go down here. Yeah. Look at the London area. We're talking about the average home was about $1 million. Look at these prices.
That blows my mind.
At first I was like, is this the salary or something?
Way.
That's insane.
£50,000.
Hold on, guys. I got to go. I want to see the conversion rate real quick so I can see what this looks like. All right, guys. So, So right now it is £1 to 1.25 US dollars. And so we're talking whatever this. So a 40,000 pounds would be $50,000, right? I think that's that's what we're seeing.
Blows my mind.
So we're talking, this is, I'm not going to do all the math, but like, that's like 60 some $1,000.
Dang, North Yorkshire is the place to be.
Dude, is it seriously that cheap to buy a house there? 65,000 pounds. I mean, like, I'm not going to do all the math, but like, what is that? Close to $80,000. I mean, this is somewhere around 80 some $1,000. This is probably roughly $100,000 or so. So like, that's for okay. Guys, let us know in the comments if that's what we're seeing. I don't want to go overboard on thinking that's what we're seeing if we don't know for sure.
It's what it looks like.
But looking at the most expensive, that looks to be the case, which is incredible. I would be leaving and moving up to an area like this as well, because that's incredibly.
Hey, I don't want to live in a really busy city anyway.
Right. I want to live in a either more medium city, smaller city, or kind of a rural setting. But most expensive postcodes outside London, 1.4 million pounds. Average.
That's what it seems like.
Average. How is that average? That's insane.
That must be like the wealthy celebrity area.
I guess it said the average was $1 million in London, but it's interesting. I thought London was literally the absolute most expensive place, but it looks like outside of London, there may
like
be
the
some
suburbs kind of.
Yeah, there may be some areas that are even more expensive than London itself, which is kind of surprising to me. Cheapest place to buy a home is in Middlehaven in North Yorkshire, where an average house costs just...
Yes, it's just the average house cost. Wow.
That's incredible, guys. You can seek a better and more affordable quality of life elsewhere. I would think so. If you're getting paid £44,000 as an average salary in London, and you're having to, the average home price is $700,000. I can't remember exactly what it was, but let's say it was that.
Yeah.
But then you can move somewhere and you were making £44,000 a year in London. You move somewhere like North Yorkshire, you're making £25,000. But your home costs are literally 10 times less.
Yeah.
Your quality of life, I would feel, would be better.
Way less stress.
Now you may, depending on where you live, you may need a car. You didn't need that in London. That's something you might have to take into account. You might not have as many activities if you're into the bustling city life.
Right.
But overall, if we're just talking dollar for dollar,
affordability,
so much of your money seems to be going to housing in London that you could make nearly half the amount of salary in somewhere like North Yorkshire. It seems like on the surface that you would actually have more disposable income left over.
Right.
But I don't know if that's true, guys. You know, this is something we're just learning about. Let us know in the comments if that would be the case. But, on the surface, it definitely seems like that. They're clearly overpriced. I think that's the case in most cities. I mean, they're definitely
You don't get as much for your money,
No.
like at all.
I mean, we can say they're overpriced. The reason they're overpriced is because there's not enough. You know, I mean, because it's you know, anything that you don't have enough of is going to go up in value. But yeah, what you get for your money, man. Again, I haven't really looked into what you're getting for your money in London, but I can only imagine that it's sort of the type of thing you see in our large cities like New York City, where, you know, like you go out into like one of the Midwestern states or even to the southern states, what you pay for a tiny little 1-bedroom New York City apartment that's like 200 square feet, you can get you like a 2,000 square foot 3 or 4 bedroom house,
With some land.
same price with land.
Yeah.
And so it's just
Just about priorities.
It
and
is.
What you
If you-
deem is worth it.
yeah. If you love the city life, then it's going to be worth it for you to have that small place. But if you don't price the city life as much and you like more laid back lifestyle, then, you know, going to a place where you can get more house for your buck is the priority. Outrageous service charges and spiraling ground rents make these an ever less attractive proposition. What is a ground rent? I'm curious about that.
And it says the issues with flat ownership is compounded because first-time buyers are getting older. Like, they're waiting longer to buy a home for the first time. So they have kids at that point and they need a bigger
Yeah.
house.
I mean, I think it's because that housing has gone up so much, especially in the last few years. Like, I mean, housing around here practically doubled in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
It's insane, and it's just, man, it's you don't really know, you know, when's the best time to get in, because right at the same time housing prices have been going up, interest rates have been going up as well. I'm sure you guys in the UK are probably dealing with the increased interest rates as well. I mean, we went through a period of time here over the last back up until around 2021. The interest rates were really low, like some of the lowest we've had in history. I mean, we're below 3% at one point. But no more. I think we're at like 7.5 or so now. It's because so many are looking outside of London. This has and will push up prices and extend the situation up. I know, man. That's the sad part, man, because like I was just saying, I've dealt with that in my own hometown. It was such a great area, not just for like the beauty of the area, what it offers in the surrounding area, but also
affordability.
It was affordable.
Yeah.
And so all these people with a lot more money than the locals come in and, you know, they buy stuff and they're able to pay cash right off the bat. And yeah, it's just kind of sad, but this was interesting. It is interesting to see how, how expensive certain postcards are. Postcards
are usually cheap.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see how cheap certain postcodes are and how expensive certain postcodes are. It seems like the closer you get to London, the more expensive it gets. I mean, like,
makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I'd be curious to know. You know, we're seeing what the average, which is insane. I still can't get over how cheap the averages are. Now, some of the average house, like if you get a house that's £40,000, obviously not going to be really fancy or anything. But the fact you can even do that,
I know,
and be livable, you know, even if it might not be like what you wanted or might not be over the top nice or whatever, the fact that you can get a livable house in some areas for, you know, £40,000-50,000 is pretty impressive.
Kind of mind blowing for us.
Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could probably get for £50,000, you could probably get you a very used mobile home, you know,
or a caravan,
or something. Yeah. You know, here, obviously, we also have, you know, certain areas are more expensive and cheaper, as every country does and every state does here. But I'm just surprised how cheap this is. And I'm curious. I've never really seen livable spaces. I've never really seen an area in the U.S. where that would have been the average. That's pretty impressive.
No.
To be the average. Because, I mean, I'm not just looking at this number. I'm looking at these numbers, too, and I'm thinking, these are averages for this entire area. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know Leeds is a fairly large city, and the fact you can, right outside the Leeds, you can have an average home price of that is pretty crazy, too. But, guys, let us know in the comments, you know, what are home prices like in your area? You know, like, you know, this showed us kind of up towards the North Yorkshire area and then obviously closer to London. But there's obviously a ton of area within the UK that wasn't covered here. So,
and are we right in thinking that the southern part of England, especially,
is almost always more expensive,
right?
Like, are you?
Or are there affordable places like this there as well?
Yeah, like if you get down towards Cornwall and that area, what's the prices like there?
To me, that just seems like it's going to be really expensive.
I know it does. It does seem. I had the feeling
coastal. I feel like
Yeah.
is going to be pricier.
Yeah, I think so too. But you look up here though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pretty coastal. That's very close to the coast, and so I don't know, guys. But this was interesting nonetheless, and makes me want to go look at houses more.
Me too.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey to learn about all things from the UK and Ireland. Till next time, guys, peace.
Bye.